Do you have a piece of paper and a pen?
No, not on me. You can grab one.
Yeah, if you can, grab a piece of paper and a pen. Put this up to the camera so everybody, if they're watching on YouTube here, they can see what this is. Now, what does this say? What's your favorite type of food?
Sushi.
You like sushi?
Yeah.
But you want a good sushi, and people pay top dollar, they go to Nobu. Be the Nobu. No, money doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Get married. Get married as soon as you can. I don't want kids. I just want to make money. Or the dual income, no kids. That's the most selfish, miserable life you can live. Because you're all about yourself. It's miserable.
He went from a music degree to building global companies in construction and health. How did David Miller get there? He's running 4 companies across 2 continents, construction, health, and more. Let's get straight to it. How's it going, David? Welcome on the show.
It's great to be on the show.
Yeah,
I love it.
Thank you for setting up some time to have us interview you in your home office over in NYC, New York.
Well, thanks for coming from Southern California out here.
Yeah. Just for you, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Let's get straight to the point of things. Just tell the audience like how we met, what we did today.
Well, we met down in the lobby. That was great. And I got you through the turnstiles. They had to learn how to bring their IDs. So that was a really good one. And then coming from Southern California, which I'm from originally, we're not going to get carne asada. We went to Europe, which was the Church of Sweden. Oh, I said we're going to get quiches.
Amazing.
Did you have the quiche?
I did not.
You didn't even get quiches.
We didn't get quiches.
But what did you have?
I honestly don't remember the name of the sandwich, but it was an open-faced sandwich with salmon. And I thought it was
delicious. Salmon, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like,
and you got the meatball sub?
Meatball sub,
yeah.
something like that.
Not bad.
Still New York.
It's still New York, but it was unique though. Not getting that in Southern California.
The pastry's delicious.
Yeah. We didn't get the quiche, but we tried the sandwiches.
The quiche was good.
So I kind of want to get back into your background, your roots of living in Southern California. So you started as a music major at Biola University. How did that background influence your journey into multiple companies in construction and international health?
Fantastic question. So really, I didn't really even want to go to college. The only reason I went to college is my dad was going to put me in the construction company that my folks owned. And I didn't want to get up early in the morning and drive to the Bay Area every day. I was up in Northern California from high school years. Nice. So that's the last thing I wanted to do. So played the tuba, got a good scholarship, and I swam. So I swam and played tuba and went to Biola. It was fantastic. Wow. Bad thing, I did get arrested when I was there when all of us swim members, we went to the Golden Globe, the People's Choice, and the Oscars. We did get arrested going to the Oscars. That was the only downside. My parents were a little upset on that one. But we learned a lot from that because it was like you had to play the part. Because I remember, we met Steve Tyler with David Spade, Puff Daddy. That's a good right now. But my point being, you had to be right on your feet. We went to the Beverly Hilton, went to the DreamWorks party, and you had to say stuff immediately. And I remember I got busted because I had this little fake credentials on, and I got escorted out to a semi-secure area. Yeah. Well, it was a pool area there, and there was the HBO party there. So I kind of went to the gate, and I come to the guy and I said, "Hey, is Steve over here? I think he's looking for you." Huh? And I walked right past him like I knew what I was talking about, where I was going. I went right into the HBO party. Sex and the City won the Golden Globe that night. The guy actually handed me and said, "Hey," because he thought I was part of it. And I learned but this is important. I learned an important lesson there. You act like you know what you're doing. Even if you know a little bit, you go a long ways. That's all it is.
Question it.
Nobody's questioning. You have to show confidence. You know what you're doing. Look them in the eye, shake the hand. You don't. Now that part of like you're 20 years old, you're having a good time. I wouldn't recommend that for the sense of like how to, but it was lessons that were learned. So back to your question, like where you came. So yeah, that came from the swimming of hard work and also, but for the music part, which I'm glad I studied, because nobody does what they study in college anyways. But music is great because you can't fake music. If you don't practice your part and you don't know your part, you're exposed immediately. You have to listen in a group. When you're playing in a brass ensemble,
piano player.
You have to listen to each other. You can't just overpower. So you're always interacting with other people, even though, hey, maybe the clarinets, you never really deal with them, but you have to understand that part, the blending. So you're always aware of your surroundings. That's one. Practice is number 2. And number 3, I think what you can learn a lot from music is really like you have to be ready at all times. Right. Like to pick up your instrument and go at all times. In the same way with business, like taking those principles. Like you're prepared for it. You show up on time for a meeting. You answer the email. You answer your phone call. And that's, I think, really like the Zers, I got a lot of Zer employees. They have a hard time learning that. COVID messed everybody up on this. Like you over communicate. Some people are so freaked out when they get a text. No, pick up the phone call. Hear some intonation on their voice. That's such important tips on that. If that doesn't work or conflict, when you drive to the client, you drive to the person, you show them in the eye, you shake them in their hands, and they realize, hey, I'm human too. And then today we're just trying to make a living, provide for the family. Like you bring the personal part of that. You get rid of this whole entire media. I love podcasts and I love YouTube, but turn off the computer and meet people face to face. So we were coming in from lunch. This guy's got a Padres hat on. Well, immediately they say, "Oh, you're from Southern California." These young men are from Southern California. We started talking. The guy's flipped in real estate in Southern California. Took the cards. He started talking about some LA. Just because we talked to him and we show confidence. You guys shook hands. I appreciate it.
yeah,
That was good.
yeah.
But that was a side note. Back to learn that. Do you have a piece of paper and a pen?
No, not on me. Can grab one.
Yeah, if you can, grab me a piece of paper and a pen.
Yeah.
Because this is something else that I really learned very important while studying at Biola, which was great in Southern California. And I mean, part of college too is networking where you learn people and you take that. Like I still have one of my alternative investments, one of my friends from band, and he's lives in St. Louis. And so you take those lessons and you learn, and how do you work that in life?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because when you said just show up, and even if you don't necessarily know fully what you're doing, but you just come in with conviction and with confidence, like that takes you so far.
And you work hard.
You work hard.
You don't complain.
Yes.
And you don't bring up ideas. You do what you're told, and you learn it. No one becomes an expert overnight. Okay, I'm going to write this down here. And this was so when I was at Biola, I took Greek as my foreign language because I don't want to learn Spanish because I lived in California my life. I'm going to try something different. and this was a great example, and I use this with a lot of my employees. And it's all about communications. I'm going to put this up to the camera so everybody, if they're watching on YouTube here, they can see what this is. Now, what does this say?
God is nowhere.
Yeah, God is nowhere.
There it says, God is now here.
Oh.
God is now here.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh.
And the reason why back in Conan Greek, the characters would come together. The problem, it was context. So both of you guys were wrong, but both of you guys were right. And there's ambiguity. So I take all my new employees and I always usually I put their name on there. And the reason why is if you don't have the right communication skills, you think you're doing something right, but it's completely wrong.
Wow.
You see what I mean? Communication is key.
Damn, that blew my mind.
Yeah. And that's important. You know what I mean? And it goes a long ways. So my first year in business, 22 years old, my dad's there at his desk, get going. And I would be gone for the day. I'd come back and I had like 20 phone calls. And I hated when I would call somebody and never call me back. And I've always had this, my MO ever since I've been 22. I don't leave the office that day until I called everybody back that called me. I want the same respect.
Totally.
Exactly.
It's back to communication. And that's how, and look, honestly, you want to get somewhere, go over and above in communication.
And it's funny because everybody nowadays feels like they're a great communicator.
They're horrible.
Which is ironic.
They're horrible. Nobody listens to each other. They're talking past each other. Everybody's going this way. Hey, I think I know what's going on. Mind readers never pretend to be a mind reader. And here's the problem with text. People put emotion into a text. No one uses punctuation. You don't know what they're meaning on here. Pick the phone. Hear someone's intonation. See how they look. If you're trying to sell a deal, you can't tell that unless you're actually, how's their body language? What's going on? Break bread with them. And you realize, maybe I don't want to do a deal with them. You don't want to work with everybody. You move on. There's a lot of fish out in the big sea out there.
Man, especially being in New York, like we literally walked out of the street randomly and met this guy, and possibly you never know, right? Like
I told you this morning, I'm walking back from swimming to my house. This guy's got some in South Africa. I'm going to be in South Africa in a week exchange. Guy runs JP Morgan Chase South Africa. We're going to have a meeting in a week and a half. You never know. Just by something, you start shooting the breeze.
Man. David, was there a real moment or like a series of moments throughout your life that or any specific one that you can think of that sparked your entrepreneurial journey as it was and set you on the path toward launching your very first company?
Yeah, there's like different inflection points in life that would come. I just been one of those guys if I'm always hungry for more and looking what's something better, and everybody's built different and not one person's better than the other. It's just me, like I've seen those different inflection points of like the first big risk of betting the farm was leaving Northern California for Northern Virginia, expanding the family construction business on the East Coast. I don't know anybody out there, had no friends, no family, no nothing. Bought a house off the internet, drive right up there. Didn't even know there was going to be a bathroom in the bottom of this townhouse. We're like, great. This is our new life. Went to the title company, signed, and the pod showed up the next day. And I said, here we go. Wow. Had no idea. Wow. And that was risk, but it was calculated risk. Calculated risk always, no one just takes, well, people do, but you don't want to take just wild risks. That's called gambling. So it was calculated. And I knew that there was a market. I did my research for months knowing this is what I wanted to do. Had the game plan, and that's how we're going to. So as I was talking to you guys at lunch, just launched a new company this week. Last week, Tuesday, we're in here. We already launched where we want to be in 18 months. And we work backwards. This is where we're going to be at 18 months from now. Okay, let's go for our first milestone. Because you can't make it there unless you start here. You guys came here from Southern California to New York. If you guys drove here, which you flew, but you're not going to be like, well, let me guess, I'll go up through Seattle and then I might cut through Denver. No, it's going to be very We're going to go on the 10. We're going to go all the way to 95. Like you're going to follow the GPS. So if you don't have those paths of how you're going to get there, you're never going to get there. You got to have a plan of attack. How are you going to get there?
I mean, shoot. Sometimes I like to be spontaneous. You know, maybe it does mean like you have to pivot and switch, but that's also a different situation. I mean, when it comes to it, for someone that's trying to like go their way and take that calculated risk, I feel like a lot of people are holding back on that, even though they know, like, I know if I want to follow my dream, I got to do this, but I don't know if it's going to work out. I might as well not do it. What do you suggest to those people, and what advice?
Fail. Just don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
You're not even going to get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I learned from music. Okay, you're going to keep making mistakes. You know, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Exactly.
You know, and athletics. In athletics, you can train and run yourself to the ground. That doesn't make you going to be a better athlete. Train correctly. But you're through a failure, that's how you get better. It's the only way you're going to get better.
Totally.
It's through failure.
Right.
But you have to embrace failure.
Right.
I think it was Tom Brady that said that every single he would as a starter he would only get like 2 reps. Or I'm sorry, not as a starter. When he first joined the team with the Patriots, he would get like 2 reps. You know, and he said those 2 reps he treated like the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Every single time, right? And then those 2 turned to 4, those 4 turned to 6, 6 turned to 10. Now he's leading the starting squad, right? But every single one of those reps was a new opportunity that he kind of saw. I kind of see like golf as well, right? Like every golf hit is like a new thing. You can have the worst hit ever, worst drive, it'll splice, whatever. But then you'll chip it into the green like on the next hit, you know, and it's just like, whoa.
And it's rewarding, but you learn, but you can, sometimes there's chance and there's luck. I get that. Sometimes you're the right place, right time. I understand that, but 99.9% of business is just hard work, figuring out, finding the system, what works, and then you go from there.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like even for people that have made it, you got to keep pushing yourself even past what you've already done, because that's how you keep getting better. Like what he said, 2 reps turns to 4, 4 turns to 8, and so on.
But you never get sloppy. So even though once you're like, hey, now I got to 40 reps, okay, you get cocky. Okay, your competitor's going to come and snag what you're going to be doing. Never get arrogant. Never get cocky, because everyone else you're going to have a giant target on your back in the market. Someone's going to come and snag it. You're always got to be improving to be better and best. Always working on it. It's never like, oh, I've arrived. I worked really hard. Now I'm an entrepreneur. I made it. You never make it. There's always ways to improve. Always to be better. Systems. It's always evolution. The economics always evolve. There wasn't tariffs a year ago. Right, there wasn't COVID 6 years ago. You know, what will 10 years from now? No one knows. But we're going to make it through it. We'll figure it out.
I like that. Well, before you had multiple companies or even global clients to what you have now today, what was your very first business move or decision that gave you that confidence to keep going?
That's a good question. Yeah. It was when I was 24 years old. It was working the family business. It was Genentech Pharmaceuticals in Vacaville. And it was the biggest project ever that the family business would ever have. And my dad was like, I don't know, Dave. And we, stressed out. And I'm like, trust me on this one, Dave. And that really catapulted us by working at Genentech. It was the world's largest pharmaceutical manufacturing plant at the time. And it was innovative how we were doing panels. It was fantastic. And that really realized, I had a mentor. He was in San Francisco. He's part of the Bohemian Club. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago. But I remember going to dinner at the French Laundry, because that was part of the deal. I bought material from them. I said, you never take me to lunch. And I was 24. I said, they're like, wherever you want to go, Dave, you buy the material from us. So I went to the French Laundry. They're like, whoa. Wow. And they're like, we'll take you golfing. It was going to be at the Olympic Club.
Wow.
I never took him up. Yeah, I never golfed, so I never took him up and went to the Olympic Club, He was going to take me to the Bohemian Club, but unfortunately he passed away. But I remember sitting at dinner at French Laundry, and he said, Dave, you close a $10,000 deal, it's no difference than a $100,000. There's no difference in $1 million deal. It's just zeros. A deal's a deal. You treat everyone the same. Doesn't matter if it's a $10,000 deal or a $10 million. Every deal is the same. You treat it the same, you're fine. And I've taken that advice. It's true.
I love that.
Even if you're selling a house. A $400,000 house versus a $40 million house, same kind of process. There's no difference.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I think like having when you do reach a certain status, right? And whether it's like material or wealth or fame or whatever, right? Or you're successful in your business, I think that they actually would prefer like being treated normal, right? I used to work in Hollywood back in the day, and that's all we focused on. And that's why they kept coming back, because we treated them like everybody else.
Treat them like a human.
Like a human being.
Treat them like a human. That's what everybody cares about.
Exactly.
Nobody cares how many zeros you get in a bank account.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody cares.
Man, sometimes those people would even try to run out on their tabs, and I'm like, "You're flexing hard for what?" I'm like, "Dude, you try to like, pay your tab, dude." Like,
Yeah.
So it's strange, everyone is human at the end of the day. We all
But that's a good point though. Never expect anybody owes you anything.
true.
Right.
No one ever owes you anything. Never expect that.
I love that.
Return.
Do without return.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a example.
Because
Would you expect me to buy you lunch today?
Not at all.
No. But I wasn't gonna let you guys buy me lunch. I'll buy you lunch. You know what I mean? But always do that. Buy your clients lunch. Buy someone, but it shows respect to them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Not that you're buying them. It shows us respect.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I love it.
Hospitality. If you look in the ancient world, hospitality was like that's what the world. I mean, it was so disrespectful. You invite someone to your home, give them a meal, take that to business. Show hospitality. Everybody's jerks out there. The world's tough out there. Show hospitality. Tell thank you. Tell your clients thank you for even little things. Thank you for your business. It goes a long ways.
I appreciate that. I love that. So you do run multiple companies across construction, paneling systems, global health. How do you manage and scale across completely different industries? Like all at the same time.
Having right people you have to have the right people running the right systems and having trust in them. And that's the hard work. That's the hard part, finding the right people for the right roles. And that's just trial and error. You churn through to find the right people. And then once you do them, you trust them and you treat them to take care of them. You know what I mean?
And what's that process like? Is it just interviewing, hiring, or like, well, how do you go about choosing the right
Well,
people?
then you'll make mistakes and you'll be like, I wish I never went that way. If you go with your gut, if you feel something's doesn't work, boom, it doesn't fit with the culture, boom. Even if they have the best resume, you move on. It has to fit the culture, has to fit the vision. That's the best way to do it. Do they align with your values?
I love that.
I
love that. And maybe as somebody who's like a newer business, kind of just starting off, what direction would you recommend they take to like how do you is it character?
Well, even that's hard because we even vet stuff through online stuff, and in the end of the day, you can find somebody how they are. I used to do the interviews. I don't do interviews as much as I used to. I play mind games with them, see if they were smart, if they were witty, if they were arrogant. I could just sniff something out on that like that. But people still can fake that. We've had people that their resume looks great on paper and they're horrible once they hire. I'm like, how is you never know. Sometimes people don't have a resume and they're unbelievable. So it's just part of it. Like you just got to kind of know who the person are. So, and then hiring sometimes is good as someone vets because they know this, and that's how the world works. You know what I mean? Yeah. You guys couldn't just call me, hey, you want to come to? We knew Kobe, but that's the world networking and knowing people. So the bigger your network is, the bigger you are to bring in employees, bring in clients. Just build your network.
Totally.
Talk to people.
Yeah.
Not network like in social network, like real networks.
Yeah. Like this.
This is real deal. Because now you guys know me. You got my number. You'll call me 6 months from now. Hey, Dave, what about this? Now there's a connection here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's true networking.
Yeah. I'm curious. Do you use a lot more intuition, or how much time do you give to someone that you're trying to bring on to help scale your business? And usually, how long does that take?
It all depends what area of the role, how big the role is. You know what I mean? Okay. So that is kind of an ambiguous answer on that. Okay. So it all depends,
I'm kind of curious, the more important the role, is it the longer that you take?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And maybe you start them out early and you wait till you know that trust and everything, and slowly. No one overnight. Tom Brady didn't become the superstar he did overnight. He had to gain trust of the coaches and everybody. It takes time,
That's true. Right.
Don't give trust to somebody that you don't know yet. That's true. His true character will eventually come out. When someone's backed in a corner, you see who they really are.
Oh, yeah. City like New York, I'm sure it's
that's like anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world, it's true character comes out in a tough adversity. You'll see who someone really is.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Well, out of all the companies you've worked with, which one, or maybe multiple ones, do you have the most passion for working on? Because I feel like,
you know what, here's the deal. I think the best thing is you have to have an equal passion through it, all of it. I don't like giving one to another because you can't. If you're head of a business, it doesn't matter if one's bigger than another or a different vertical. They're all just equally important. You know why? Because every employee and every customer in every of those verticals are the most important people to you. So it doesn't matter which ones you're more. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think. It's a vertical I have. Every single of those people are important. Every customer and every employee.
What would you say to somebody who's like, oh, you shouldn't do multiple things all at one time, but be like, they say jack of all trades, master of none, right? Like, what would you say to
They're absolutely right.
Uh-huh.
No, find your niche and stick with that, and then grow originally from there. Don't be a Swiss Army knife.
Right.
You know, but that Swiss Army guy. So every single vertical I've gone has come from where I've evolved from. It's not
Got
like,
it.
oh, hey, I'm gonna start a taco truck. I don't know anything about tacos. I don't know anything about trucks. I would never touch that. Stay in your lane. Get what you become an expert at. You
Huh.
can grow from that.
So it's like
Got
roots
it.
from a tree.
You got it. You don't start planting another. You don't graft something in that you have no idea. Because think about it, if you start grafting an oak tree part of a walnut tree, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Something's going to die. Either your main oak tree or you want to choke out everything. There's countless stories. You can go on the internet, left and right. People do that with business, and it cuts out both businesses, and they're dead. They're done.
And going back, because what me and Isaac are starting is our own business too, like West Coast Property Bros.
And you already started it, right?
Yeah.
So you're not our starting. You've started it. You're
Yes.
running. Yeah. No. You're already past that.
We're
moment.
running it.
Now we're full
the
in
car-
force
the,
to doing
the car's on.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going down the road.
Totally. And I feel like Isaac asked that because we're trying to tap into multiple things, like property management on top of real estate, loans, notary, and even commercial. But we're not trying to specialize in everything, because what we're working with Kubi on is to be able to partner with, Kubi and then maybe some.
Let me ask you, what's your favorite type of food?
Sushi.
You like sushi?
Yeah.
You like Nobu?
I don't think I had Nobu.
The sushi, like the high-end sushi restaurant?
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Okay,
yes.
okay. You're gonna go there for good sushi, right? You're not gonna go to Golden Corral. They'll
Well,
sell
definitely not the Golden Corral.
Okay. Then don't be a Golden Corral. You want to get the best sushi. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Golden Corral, they'll serve sushi, but you want a good sushi, and the people pay top dollar, they go to Nobu. Be the Nobu.
What about like one of those mom and pop shops that do serve to the level of Nobu but don't cost as much?
Well, so that's all they're doing is still sushi. They're not selling, honey baked ham and pastries and.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You see
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Want to be a notary? There's plenty of notaries out there.
right.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Stick to what you want to do and go be the best at it.
I think it's like
Yeah.
quality equals value
Absolutely.
at the end of the day.
Yeah. Not quantity.
Yeah.
Anybody can bring money in the door from different ways. Be a specialist. Think about Amazon when they started. They sold books. They didn't do everything they do now, but they took that and then they grew from that. You see what I mean? But they perfected it with the books first.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
Focus on one thing.
that's good to know.
With this podcast, it's interesting because as much as we do mean it for the entire audience and the viewer, to take away from it, like we also take advice and we also take the information.
Well, there's going to be a test
practical
after the end of
information.
this. And it's going to be multiple choice.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, again, like it's better to apply it to practically in our own life.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
we're in our early 20s, mid 20s,
Yeah.
and it still feels like we've done so much, but we're still in our infancy in terms of the business world, in terms of being an entrepreneur. And
You're always learning, though. I'm always learning. I'm 42.
yeah.
So I had a mentor when I lived in Northern Virginia. Fantastic. He was a priest of the church. He went to Harvard, traded derivatives on Wall Street. Was a heavy hitter, and then ended up becoming a priest. It was fantastic. And we'd go for walks, and he kind of stuff. And one of the best things he ever told me is, in the Western world, it's like your education, and then you work, and then you retire. And if you're really smart and really well, that work is super small, and the leisure is super big. If that was true, then why does everybody commit suicide in Hollywood? You know what I'm saying? That's not the answer. So he said, think about this, Dave. If you're always learning throughout life, you're always being productive and working, but you're always enjoying life with leisure, and think of it like a rope of three ways, always continually going, then you'll be happy. Yeah.
It's a work-life synergy instead of a balance.
Absolutely. Synergy. You're always learning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So back to your thing on the podcast. Oh, we're learning. We're always learning. I'm learning from you guys. I mean, everyone was learning. But you have to be humble to realize that. As soon as you think, I know what I'm doing, I know how to do this, you're dead meat. Even if you're the best in that best. If you walk into a boardroom or a conference room, usually the guy that doesn't talk is the smartest guy in the room. But he doesn't need to tell everybody he's the smartest guy in the room. You know what I mean?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
As long as you're listening and the person you're interacting with is feeling heard,
Yeah.
that's
And you learn from it.
good.
You can always learn from somebody.
Yeah.
There's always, even the person that you totally disagree with, there's something you can learn from them. Just gotta talk to them.
Yeah. Dang. I know from our conversation earlier, you were talking about different technologies, possibly using AI, because AI is a big tool nowadays.
Yeah.
How are AI and emerging technologies currently affecting like the construction, paneling industry, or even the companies you're
Oh,
working
absolutely.
on?
Yeah.
Where do you see the biggest disruption coming in and you're implementing it?
So we're designing an AI program for the construction. We're going to launch that this come summer. And we haven't talked about that. So, got a guy in San Francisco, and we've been developing this. I mean, just looking for those once again those changes in the marketplace. You know, it's coming. How you can be first to market. You see where the needs are and the gaps in industry, and you try to fill that in. And that's where AI is just a tool. It's a new tool, you know, and everybody it's all the buzzwords, but like you just kind of get past the noise, and you're like, how can I integrate this into my world? So what we're doing with our program for construction is you get all these tech bros from the Bay. They don't understand the niche of the businesses. So we're bringing them into what we do. And I was at a pool bar here in New York, met a guy, he's from San Francisco, and then he came and we met in NorCal, and then we're starting developing this program. From networking, because I just talked the guy in the line where we're going to this pool bar, my wife and I. But my point being is we're spending 6 months to build this program, and is learning right now, and I was on a call earlier today about it. But it's nothing that complicated. I'm not a tech guy. I mean, my VCR still flashes 00. So they're taking their tech. I don't know if you guys got the joke. You're in a VCR. Okay. So they're taking the tech. We're taking our knowledge of the industry, and then we merge it together. What book did I tell you guys to read?
The
Entrepreneurship and Innovation.
By who?
Peter
Drucker.
Peter Drucker. Very good. Make sure you order that one. Put it on the comments down below. You can order it on Amazon. You'll like that one. Yes. But that's all it is. You're just taking it and nobody wakes up with an epiphany. So this AI stuff, okay, there's gonna be disruptions all over the place. I told my accounting staff, I said, you guys got to be smarter than everything else, because this is where stuff AI is going to start taking over a lot of the stuff. You know.
And I feel like a lot of people that aren't using AI think it's taking over their job, and they fear that it's going to take over their job. But with other people we've started interviewing and we ask them about AI, you got to kind of utilize it as your tool. So, hey, now I can utilize it with my position. You can't fire me now.
Because you put values to yourself. If someone's got value, you can't get rid of. So we had a newer employee recently. It's like, I deserve X, Y, and Z, or this. You can't take a bigger gun to a gunfight if you don't have the biggest gun. If you have tools that company needs you or your client needs you, now you have value. And how do you differentiate from everybody else in the market? The flip side of the AI is mankind's getting dumber because we don't have to think anymore. Right. Or the problem solve. Think about the AI has to ties in with Google Maps. How often do you guys use Google Maps in Southern California?
Every day.
Why? Honestly, not a lot. I know because Southern California pretty good.
For me, I personally try to remember where I go. So once I use it to a point where I remember where to go, I stop using maps.
Yeah, but some people don't. Some people use it all the time. They quit thinking. Yeah. And that's the danger of this AI stuff. And the brain is like it's muscle. So it makes it stronger. So like if I go somewhere new or a new city or something, I'll study a map beforehand and try to make it without ever putting on a Google map, just because I studied beforehand. But it challenges the brain of what you need to do and problem solve. But if you don't have that mindset, you can't be innovative on your own.
Right. You're gonna make me use Google Maps in New York.
Well, you shouldn't, because it's a grid. You'll know how. Study it before you leave here and go downstairs, and do not use the Google Maps.
Let's do it.
New York's super easy. So years ago, my wife and I, we went to Israel for vacation, have a good time, and we got robbed in Caesarea. We went to go look at the ancient Roman ruins. Someone got busted into our car, stole our iPads, phones,
just everything.
But that's how our maps were. So because we put it on there, and with everything's in Hebrew on there, so we were going to go to Jerusalem to our Airbnb, and you know how Airbnb, maybe this is back in 2017, you had to go in there where we had no access. So I had to match the characters. I went to an internet cafe, printed out on a printer, and I had to try to match the characters of Hebrew with the characters of Hebrews on the street signs. My point is, if you can't we actually made it to Airbnb. I don't know how we made it. I said, honey, we're here. I never want to leave this place, but we made it. But my point is if you don't know how to problem solve, then you're in whether with your clients or you're with your job, if you're in a job, you have no value on there. So a client always wants problem solving. Mm-hmm. Those are the people that are successful. How do you solve a problem with different ways of looking at this?
Totally.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So kind of touching back on the whole concept of AI and the fear behind it, right? Of jobs being taken and everything like that. It reminds me of our anecdote that we shared with Mr. Rogelio when we were back in Detroit. It being the automotive headquarters, right, in the entire nation. He mentioned or told a story about when manufacturing lines and assembly lines started coming into the automotive industry, how that impacted itself, right? And what he mentioned and kind of what I took away from the conversation was like, well, and instead of being worried about it taking your job, why not learn how to fix the machine? Why not know how to oil it up? Why not know how to like be the coder, like, do something. That way, now when something goes wrong in the efficiency aspect of it, like you're still there to be able to provide the value that you need.
I got it.
Yeah, but we've seen this countless times through our history. You think about the horse and buggy got changed by the automobile.
Yeah.
The steam engine would change out sales. I mean, there's constantly, there's always, this isn't gonna be the last time there's change in society. There'll be another one. These happen again and again. It's embracing change, embracing the progress of economics, and learn from it. Don't be scared of it. But most of you guys are Zers on millennials. You guys love this stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's really the older, and one day you guys will be the old generation. And you'll be like, oh, back my day. I mean, every generation repeats itself. But how do you always stay on top of it?
I loved how you mentioned on the topic of problem solving as well, because I mean, even directly relating to mortgages or to real estate, like that's the job at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because if somebody comes to you with their own situation, which is unique to them and themselves only, like you have to be able to maneuver through the system in order to get them what they need.
You got to be nimble.
Yeah.
You got to be nimble. And unfortunately, Zers do not problem solve. They don't. And I think it's because of these things.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I have a lot of employees, and they're so challenged in a sense of, well, shouldn't it be think outside the box? And this is countless parts of, I mean, my wife sometimes like, we'll go to a store. So I'm like, have you thought of the answer? Like, it's frustrating because no one's problem solving. So you want to be one up on the world, problem solve. Get away from the computer stuff and always problem solve. So part of my thing was, I mean, I was an athlete post college, and I used to race triathlon and mountain bike. I had a pro license in mountain biking.
I'm trying to do that.
And part of that is I would always play games. I played games of the times. I would do multiplication and mathematics, always in my mind. Okay, I'm going to leave my bike here. I'm going to come here. So I was always problem memorizing stuff, playing games in my head all the time. That just makes you sharper in a sense of always being ahead.
I love that. Wow. I really love that. So you've been married 21 years?
21 years.
21
years in July, yeah.
Oh.
But not long enough.
Right.
So when anybody says, how long you've been here, but not long
Not long enough.
Not long enough. And every time my wife says, hey, I'm out of here, you know what I say? Me too, where are we going?
Let's go.
Yeah,
That's right.
I like that.
That's right. So being married, you said you just had a kid.
Yes.
You're building multiple companies. How have you maintained the balance between family, purpose, and entrepreneurship? Especially not only now with a kid, but
that's a new one. We're
marriage.
still working it out, figuring that one out. I mean, because we were married for 20 years. My wife and I were business partners together. She did medicine.
Yeah.
I mean, she practiced family practice. I mean, fantastic. Wow. But not everybody can, work with their spouse like that. But I mean, we've been joined to the hip for so long. We're fantastic. You know what I mean? But no, having a child now, it brings purpose. Probably the best thing that ever happened to me. So here's an advice to entrepreneurs and people, especially Zers. I don't want to have kids, or I want to get enough money. Nobody cares. Mankind's been making it forever. Like, have as many kids as you can. You know what I mean? Like, that's what life's about, is family and stuff. You said you grew up in LA and it was tough, and you were poor, but you had family. You were the richest people there. That's what matters in life. Money doesn't matter. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? Who was the richest man in New York 20 years ago? You guys you don't know who that is. You know what I mean? Who was the richest guy in the world 200 years ago? Nobody cares. You know what I mean? Yeah. Would you care about your mom and dad, your kids? Have kids. It brings purpose in life.
Money with you when we die.
I haven't seen a U-Haul at a funeral yet. I've looked for them, but I haven't seen them yet. You know what I mean?
And I like how you bring up like our generation, Gen Z, millennials, because this is who we're speaking to on our podcast.
Yeah, so get married. Get married as soon as you can. That's the nucleus of society. Marriage. People get married, they have children. That's what economics is. You want to talk about economics and entrepreneurship? It's the family. We remove the family from society. We won't have an economy in 50 years from now.
That's true.
That is a good point.
My uncle, he has 6 or 7 kids. I asked him, I was curious. I was like, hey, how much do you spend on groceries every month? He said like $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah.
I was like,
but that's just groceries. Think about the clothes and think about the schooling and stuff.
Exactly.
Jeez.
But here's the problem, though. I don't want kids. I just want to make money. Or the dual income, no kids. That's the most selfish, miserable life you can live.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're all about yourself. It's miserable. It looks good on the outside, but it's miserable. I don't know, that'll make it on the podcast, but it's true, though. Nobody talks about it. It's miserable. You know what I mean? Like, what's important in life?
Yeah.
Why do we work hard? We take care of our families.
Yeah.
And steal to the next generation. So millennials, Zers, no, it's time for you guys to give to the next generation. If everyone wants to give back, encourage the next generation. But the only way by doing it is having children or marrying. And that'll make you a better entrepreneur. You want someone to tell you straight up, like, no, you're just going the wrong way, or hey, maybe you need to pull back. A spouse is what you need for that.
Totally.
I
And
think choosing the right partner too.
But that's very important too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, I'm not just
Absolutely.
gonna get married just willy nilly, but
You know, but you say that though, but think about all the people that would have arranged marriages, or the men that
is
fought in
true.
World War II
Yeah.
and they'd marry random people and they had great marriages 50 years. Marriage is tough, but you choose love. You know, you're not gonna like your spouse all the time. It's gonna drive you nuts, but you choose to love them. Love is a choice. It's not like, oh, it feels really good. Tough luck. You do what you got to do. And the same thing you take in business.
Yeah.
You have to love your business and what you do, because there are a lot of days you're not gonna like it, or there's tough times. You suck it up and you just do it.
yeah.
That's life. Everybody's soft nowadays. You suck it up and you don't complain. You just do it. Unfortunately, these years are like that. Oh, I had to work overtime. Right? Who cares? You just do it. You know what I mean? But now my parents instilled that to me. A lot of people, their parents didn't instill that, and it's hard to adjust to that. And I have empathy for that. Like if you were raised that way, but maybe I encourage doing something that gets out of your comfort zone that you don't like. But you're just going to do it anyways. Make a commitment and just do it.
Totally. I remember you asking the both of us how old we were before we started recording. He's gonna turn 26. He's 25. I'm 23. Gonna turn 24. Just days apart from each other on birthdays. If you were our age, starting off today, and just had a laptop and Wi-Fi, what kind of business would you start in 2025?
2025, that's a really good question. Probably, I wouldn't want to be stuck behind a computer. Some people love that. I would probably get rid of that and not use a computer on that. I would go probably sell something or go do something. I could go interact with people and do something. That's what I would. That's just that's how I'm geared. You know what I mean?
Totally.
That's what I would do. I mean, a lot of people say, hey, I want to make a lot of money being an influencer stuff. Like, you're not really doing anything. You know what I mean? Like, personally, what you're actually doing to make a difference and seeing your result of your hard work and your labor. To me, sometimes that's the best thing. My dad taught me that as a kid. Or we're driving in the car and listen to AM talk radio, if you know what that is. And when the guy was in Sacramento, and the guy was like, having people call like, what would you do if you had to do your career differently? And I remember I asked my dad, I don't know, I was like 12, and he would take me to job sites. I'm like, Dad, what would you do? He's like, I would do nothing. I'd do exactly the same. Because I get to see my work at the end of every day, and I'm proud of what I do to provide for my family. I'm like, that's a good answer. And I never forgot that when I was like 12. So to answer your question, I like seeing where you actually see results of your work. Not everybody has that opportunity to do that, you know what I mean? But that's just me personally.
Right.
So to answer your question, that's what I would do if it was 2025. I mean, it is 25. I would do something like that where I'm interacting. But I'm different. I'm a different era. I'm 42. You know what I mean? That's just
true.
like,
I'm kind of curious. This is a little off script.
Okay.
What is the worst piece of advice you've ever heard?
That's a good one.
the worst piece of advice. Actually, it's hard to answer that question.
Like,
I don't know. I've never thought about that. What my worst piece. And I'll tell you the reason why I can't think of it there. I try not to fester on that stuff. I just let it go. Like I've made bad decisions myself where I've had to forgive myself of like, okay, Dave, you learn from it, move on from it. But advice and stuff, I don't know. I mean, you hear bad advice. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the worst one, but you hear bad advice all the time. You just have to like,
sift through it.
yeah, exactly. Like, no, that doesn't align with my values. That's not right. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You move on from that. So I don't know if I have it like instead of like one or like maybe I did and I just moved on. I've just never thought about it again.
Yeah.
So really, if you don't align with something, don't even put energy.
Just
towards
move
it.
on.
Just move on.
Move on. If they're offended, oh well. You know what I mean? Because you know it's your life. You got to make the decision.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like, who cares what everybody else thinks? Nobody cares. You're the ones that can make. Are you forging the path? Forge the path. You know, everyone's gonna have opinions. Everyone's gonna have advice. You just know what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I guess that's the number one naysayer. A lot of naysayers in entrepreneurism. You'll never. I mean, there's countless stories of entrepreneurs. You'll never make it. You never do this. Some don't, but you know.
Guess it kind of relates to the question I was going to ask here. If you could give one unfiltered piece of advice to Gen Z, to millennials, what's it about, or whether it's about like business, purpose, or just life in general, what would you say to someone trying to figure it all out right now?
Figuring out, you need to find out what the purpose of life is before you can find your purpose in business and find your purpose of a spouse. What is why are you here?
Yeah.
You know, why do you wake up every morning? What are you destined to do? That's what you need to find out what it is. Do you have faith? That's important. Something bigger than us. And I think a lot of young men, particularly in America, and I mean, even in South Africa, I'm watching them. They're coming back to church. They're coming back to faith because they've realized this whole idea of postmodernism does not work. It's emptiness. So I guess the point is find that first before you go push hard on entrepreneurism and try to build that stuff, because you need to find out where are you going in life. Because you don't want to be all around the place making decisions. You want to be laser focused, and that's what you want to do. But first, you got to find out who are you, why are you here on this planet, and then go make a change in this world. Don't live for yourself. Make a change in this planet.
Totally. And I like how you bring up that a lot of younger men are going back to church. I'll admit, I came back to church. I grew up with a Catholic family where my grandma and my mom went to a Catholic church and put me through Catholic school. And it ultimately led me to not like Catholicism and Christianity until like years later, where I repicked it up with my ex at the time, and she brought me to church, got me a Bible. We do Bible study, and that really kickstarted it back. And honestly, faith and desire are what are talked about from the books I read, Napoleon Hill, Atomic Habits. They all talk about that. And I totally agree with that, because I feel like a lot more people need to listen to that, especially like our generation need to listen to that, because they just tune everything else out and they're very specific, put their head down, very narrow.
Yeah. But the beauty of that is once you realize that God has wonderfully, fearfully made you, that you have a purpose in life. Wow. Okay. How can I honor God, and what do I do? It gives you purpose. And what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Every day is an amazing day. There's never a bad day. I tell people here when I walk around my office here, it's a great day. I never have a bad day. There's hard days, but and this is one of the reasons why Rich Bell, he worked for me. He actually started working with my dad. I met him in high school. He was 2 years older than me. I took welding in high school. He just threw a welding rod. Was not a nice guy. He ended up knocking up a family friend, had a kid, and he's young. My dad hires him, fires him, comes back. So I come into the business, and we were working in San Francisco a lot, and we spent a lot of time in the car. We became really close. He became a Christian. His life really changed, and it was beautiful seeing this transformation. Well, one day he's like, "Man, I just don't feel good." And I'm like, "What's going on?" He goes to the doctor. He gets like an X-ray, and he has all these tumors behind his face, and he ended up getting leukemia. Wow. He goes through his chemo, ends up, got clean. It was great. He loved Miller paneling so much. He come over into the office, and he couldn't do mathematics. But it doesn't matter. He just wanted to be next to me, and it was fantastic. He survived cancer. It was great for him to be. He had 2 kids, and he got cancer again. It came back. And then I took him out to lunch, and I never forget. It was October 7th, 2007. And he said, "Dave, if I ever get it again, I won't be around." That was the last time I ever saw him. My point being, he was 27, wife and 2 kids. Every day is a good day. You cherish every single day. His life was only for 27 years. And I had God, why'd you take him? Rich was such a beautiful human. We're never guaranteed tomorrow. But finding that purpose on what you are, and it doesn't matter if your business is just sweeping the floor or you're running a multi-million-dollar business, it doesn't matter. You do it with purpose, and you do it to honor God. That's my advice.
Wow. Yeah, that was a great episode. Like, that was a great conversation. Like, I was even moved by it. Like, just sitting here talking with you and asking the questions.
Well, thanks for coming out to New York.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting
us. You guys
us
on the tour? You're going with Europe next, and then to Asia, all the way around the world? Or?
Hey, that's the plan.
One day.
Yeah. We definitely want to do that. It's on our bucket list.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for coming out, or us coming to you, David.
Absolutely, yeah.
Inviting us in.
All right, well, let's go get that pizza now.
Let's do it.
All right, thanks.
Cool. And you guys, thank you for watching. Straight to the point. We'll catch you guys on the next one.